Okay, hello Chevra. Hi everybody. So nice to see you all. I see more faces are showing here than usual, which you know I like. Thank you. It's nice to see the smiles when we're always so far from each other physically. It's very special to see everybody's face. Okay, no pressure. Okay, so we're gonna get to a very, very, very beautiful beautiful idea in this Torah here that I feel that some of you who I know very well, really everybody, but for sure some of you that I know very well, this will be very, very shaykh to your life and all the situations that we face in a very serious way. I know it's very, very strong for me. Who's in Hawaii? Aloha from Hawaii. Wow. Okay. Shalom, you said the audio is not that great?
That's my friend David. That's my friend David from Hawaii. I think he came once before.
Wow. Welcome.
Inani.
Welcome, David.
Inani, I'm David Weisfeld. Hi.
Welcome. So happy to see you. Send some of that beautiful weather to us, please. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so just a very, very quick recap. We started off by saying in this Torah that in order to bring peace into the world, we have to raise up the kavod of Hashem, the honor of Hashem, to its root, which is yira, which is fear, awe of Hashem. And we can't do that, raise up the honor of Hashem, except through Torah's chesed, which is Torah that is learned in order to teach and in order to bring those who are far away from kedusha, holiness, closer to Hashem. Whether that means balei tshuva or whether that means gerim. Anybody who didn't grow up in a way that they were close to Hashem. When we learn Torah in a way that we can give it over to them to help to bring them closer to Hashem, that's called Torah's chesed. That raises up the honor of Hashem. And I don't know if I ever said this before, by the way, but you could have someone who, you know how we have these terms of a Baal Tshuva, right? And this term of an FFB, which is a from birth person, right? So these terms are sometimes useful for certain purposes, but generally are totally useless and do not promote a healthy outlook. Why? I'll tell you a quick story I once heard. The way I heard the story was told about, I think it was maybe some kind of Rosh Yeshiva. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. But I heard this story like 20 years ago. That someone who went to a yeshiva in Yerushalayim called Or Sameach was walking through the streets of the old city of Yerushalayim. And he stopped and he ran into this Rosh Yeshiva, and he ran into a certain Rosh Yeshiva, and the Rosh Yeshiva said to him, who are you? Tell me about yourself. And he said, yeah. He said, where are you learning? He said, I'm learning in Or Sameach, but I'm not a Baal Tshuva. I'm learning in Or Sameach, which is a yeshiva made for people who didn't grow up from, but I'm not a Baal Tshuva. Meaning, I grew up in a frum household, but I decided to go to this particular yeshiva, right? So what did this particular Rosh Yeshiva say back to this person? He said, why not? Why are you not a Baal Tshuva? Meaning what? Meaning Baal Tshuva, this term that we use nowadays, which is that someone who didn't grow up in a religious family and then becomes religious is a Baal Tshuva. It's a good descriptive term in a certain way, but it takes out the whole beauty of the term Baal Tshuva. A Baal Tshuva really is someone who is at a certain distance from Hashem and comes closer. Or someone who was very close to Hashem and then, went through some struggles and went far away from Hashem and then came back. That's a Baal Tshuva. This term that we use nowadays is a funny label. Right? And we miss out this beauty that everyone should be a Baal Tshuva. Everyone should be trying to come closer to Hashem. So, Rabbi Nachman is telling us, Torah's chesed, the Torah of kindness, which will truly elevate the honor of Hashem, is when we learn Torah in order to help people come closer to Hashem. And those people, true, that are much farther away from Hashem, when they come close to Hashem, that is the biggest honor to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is a beautiful, beautiful endeavor that we should all be, doing whatever we can to focus on, whether it's with ourselves, whether it's with our family members, whether it's with people that we meet. We should always do whatever we can to help people come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Be'emes. And when a person comes close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with emes and emunah, they're going to have an improved life. They're going to have a much more beautiful existence. Why would we not want to help people with this? Do you see how this is Torah's chesed? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. Okay, and the best, by learning beautiful Torahs and being examples for people. I know that some of us talk about this. The best way to have a positive effect on someone and to help them is to be a good example for them. Is to show them, this is what don't say that, that'll probably turn them off. This is what you could be. No. To show, I have emunah. And when bad things happen to me, I deal with them with emunah, and I keep going, and I don't fall as far, and I have a happy life, and Corona doesn't bother me, and all my challenges don't bother me. They're hard, but I work through it. Beautiful way to help people, to show them this way of existence. Anyway, so converts are a huge honor, as we said, like the Zohar says, and we can't bring people back to Torah, said Rabbi Nachman, except for 1 second. Yeah, we can only bring people back through the Torah. And we had this beautiful, beautiful idea that when we learn Torah, the letters of the Aleph base that comes out of our mouths are really forces of holy light, and they come out and they reach the root of all Jewish souls. That's called Techilas Machshava, that's called first thought. Because when Hashem created the universe, the first thought was to create the Bnei Yisrael. And through creating the Bnei Yisrael, he had to create the rest of the universes and all of physical existence and all of spiritual existence in order to accomplish the Ratzon Hashem through the creation of Yisrael. But Yisrael was the first thought in creation. And that place, that spiritual existence, that spiritual entity that's called first thought, is the root of all Jewish souls. And all those Jewish souls are connected to one of the 600,000 letters that are all put together to form the Torah. And so when we learn Torah and we make those letters come out, those letters of light go and touch the root of people's souls that is in that place of Techilas Machshava, that source of all Jewish souls. And the letters of the Torah that correspond to the letters of their neshamas connect and shine, and that gives a person inspiration and wakes them up and brings them closer to Hashem. And the Posha Yisrael, those who are distant from Hashem, when they learn and the letters come out of their mouth, those things come together and they create the souls of converts. So the Torah that we learn, when we learn it with this idea that I'm trying to learn Torah in order to bring spirituality into the world, in order to fix the world, in order to bring the light of Hashem into the world, and to wake up neshamas, and to create neshamas through the Torah that we learn, it accomplishes all these amazing things. And the last thing that we said last time, which is very hard-hitting and super important for everybody, is that the only way that we can merit to achieve this type of Torah is through shiflus, is through being humble. And we talked about there was four ways of being humble, and 3 things that can detract us from being humble. The 4 ways of being humble were between recognizing my place and my humility as compared to tzaddikim, as compared to people who are not tzaddikim, as compared to people who are rashayim, much lower, and then, possibly most importantly, making sure I'm humble, corresponding to my own existence. And we talked very deeply about this last time. This is just a review of where we were last time. And then we started the story of Rabbi Bar Chana. I'll start here with the story of Rabbi Bar Chana, and the first page of the explanation of Rabbi Bar Chana I'll also give as a review, and then we'll start where we left off. The story said like this: V'zeh sham Rabbi Bar Chana, Lididi chazili hay urzila bar yoima. I once saw this one-day-old urzila, which is a mountain goat, to have a kahar tavor, which was as big as Mount Tabor. Har Tavor Kamahave. How big is Har Tavor? Arba Parsi, 4 parsas, 4 miles tall. Ubei Mashcha Tetzavra, and the length of its stretched out neck. How big was that of this goat? Tlasa Parsi, 3 miles long. Ubei Marbata Dareshe, and the place where it laid down its head, like its pillow. How big was that? Parsa Upaga. It was 1.5 miles. Rama Kufta V'Sachra Liyardana. And when it went to the bathroom in the Jordan River, it clouded up the whole entire river. That's the story of Rabbi Baruch Hana. And we explained that the Urzila is made up of 2 words. Or, which is light, which refers to the kavod of Hashem, the honor of Hashem. Or, because we said that V'haaretz he'iru mikavoidoi, the pasuk says, that the land is lit up by Hashem's honor, meaning that honor is connected to or, to light. So Urzila is made up of 2 words, or and zol, right? So when the light of Hashem is in galus, is in the zilusa de galusa, is cheap, is in a denigrated place because of galus, right? So he said, that's where we're holding. V'lama nikra bar yoma. So why was it called 1 day old? Why was it 1 day old Urzila? And he said, because we have this concept of when's Mashiach coming, right? He went upstairs into Shemayim and asked Mashiach when he's coming, and he said, Hayom, today. Hayom im bekoli tishma'u. That's the day when Mashiach's coming. So when is the light of Hashem going to be fully revealed? When is the honor of Hashem going to be fully revealed? Only when Mashiach comes. And when is Mashiach coming? On that 1 day, on that Bar Yoma. So Urzila, Bar Yoma, right? We're saying that the light of Hashem is hidden until the day of Mashiach's going to come. And every day, every moment, we're waiting, we're ready for that light is ready to come out and be revealed in its entirety. And so we said, how do we get to that level? How do we get to this level where the light of Hashem is revealed completely? And we said, it's through Kahar Tavar. When we take the har, the mountain, which is referring to, the mountain is referring to something big, is referring to gaiva, arrogance, right? The opposite of shiflus. When that mountain, when we break that mountain, har tavor, in ancient Aramaic and in ancient Hebrew, the taf and the shin can be switched over. So it's not har tavor, it's har shavur, the broken. When that mountain is broken, when we break our ego, when we break our own sense of undeserved self-honor, that's when the light will start to shine of Hashem. That's when we give the kavod to Hashem. When we break our own kavod, we give the kavod to Hashem. And we can only get to the Torah that we need. Remember, we need Torah to elevate other people and to bring these neshamas into the world, only through shiflus. That's what har tavor means. And how big was har tavor? It was 4 parsas, 4 miles. What did we say? There were 4 aspects of how we have to humble ourselves, right? Before those are great, those that are greater than us, before those that are the same as us, before those that are below us, and before even ourselves, if we're lower than everybody. Once again, we spoke had like a whole shiur just on this subject, so I won't get too much into it, but it's a beautiful thing to explore. Har tavor arba parse, that's those things. We have to break the gaiva in those 4 places. And then we said, and the sticking out of the neck of this goat, that's sticking out our neck. That's, I'm very proud and I'm very gaivadik, right? Where did it come from? 3 parsas, 3 miles. And we said there's three particular things that a person can be drawn into gaiva through, arrogance through. That was wisdom, physical strength and health, and money. A person who has any one of these 3 things, it's a very dangerous place with regards to ego. A person can become egotistical and not be humble very quickly if they're very smart, or if they're very physically attractive or physically strong, or if they're very wealthy. It can really cause a person to have a tremendous sense of self, right? The famous pasuk in the Torah, Kochi v'otzim yadi, osas kol achal hazeh. A person who accomplishes a lot, right, has a very big temptation to take credit for it all. and to think, I did it. Do you know? Did you see what I did? See all the money I made this year? It's obviously not talking about me. You see, right? You see how physically strong and healthy I am, or how good looking I am. All these men are coming to me, all these ladies are coming to me, whatever it is, right? Person can be very, 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 can fall into gaiva very, very easily. You can think it's all because of me. I'm the great one. That's why this is all happening. Or a person who's very smart, right? Can stick their nose up at people very, very easily, right? All these three things. So that's the 3 miles. Now we're starting new. We're at the top of page 308 in the black Likutei Moharan. The next thing it said, Umarbata dereshe, parsa upalga. This is going to get into something so awesome. And the place where it laid its head was 1.5 miles. Okay, so do you remember, one of the things that we said was that when we say Torah, and it's lishma, it's for the right reason, and we mean it for holiness, then those letters go and they connect to the letters of the root souls of Bnei Israel, and they cause those souls to wake up. And in other situations, those letters go and they bang together and they create the souls that will be souls of converts. This is the power in the Torah that we learn, that we have. And like I said the last few classes, what a koyach, what an important thing that can happen. When we learn Torah and we say over these words, it's not just intellectual stimulation. It's not even just something to inspire us ourselves, but it goes and it could wake up a soul on the other side of the world. It can cause positive spiritual energy to come into the world when we learn Torah. So we have a big responsibility. We have to keep going always. Okay, so with that in mind, this is referring to this resting place of the head that was 1.5 miles. This is referring to the zivug of the zivug that is made in this place of Reishis Machshava. We said the place, the source, the place where all Jewish neshamas come from is a place called Techilas Machshava or Reishis Machshava, first thought. And a zivug can happen there in this place. Zivug means like when a man and woman come together to create a child. That's called a zivug. So too, the zivug happens with those letters of Torah that come out. What happens? Marbata. So marbata is a lashon zivug. How do we see such a thing? Marbata over here really is referring to resting place, where the head lies down, or pillow. Kamosha Kasuv. Orchi v'rivi. So the pasuk says that orchi v'rivi means my way that I'm traveling, v'rivi, and the place where I lie down. So meaning rivi, the lashon reish beis ayin, means lying down on the ground, lying down. Val yadei zivug, so that's referring to zivug. Where does zivug happen? Where does an intimate relationship between a man and a woman happen? It happens when they, like we say in regular language, they lied together, right? That's the lashon of lying down. It's a lashon of zivug. Val yadei zivug hazeh naisa parso palga, and it's through this zivug of those letters in this place of Techilas Machshava that we create parsa bupalga, 1.5 miles. What does that mean? Parsa, mile, a whole mile, ze remez al hamshachas haneshamos levenehem. This is referring to the drawing down of souls into their children. Ze muchuna b'shem parsa shlema. This is called a parsa shlema, a whole mile, a complete path, really, I would say. This is referring to when a holy person learns Torah and channels with purity those letters for the right purpose, in the right way. Those letters go and make a zivug and cause a new soul to be drawn down into that person's child. And that if it's done in this way, with purity and holiness and the right intent, then the soul that comes down into that person's child will be pure and will be holy. That's a parsa shlema, a whole mile, a direct path that the neshama is coming down. V'hisnoitzitzus shehaneshama is misnoitzitzin u'me'irin es ha'poisha Yisrael b'tshuva. And those sparkings, right? Those like Torah letter light traveling and hitting and sparking the neshamas and awakening and illuminating the Poshe Yisrael B'tshuva that cause Jewish sinners to wake up, Jewish people who are not doing so well. It causes them to wake up and be aroused to do tshuva. Umaylid and nishmas gerim, and cause the neshamas of gerim to be born, of converts to be born. Zeh mechuna b'shem palga. This is given the name of palga, halfway. Let's see why. So once again, parsa, the whole mile, refers to the soul being drawn down in purity directly into a new baby in a pure, holy way. That's parsa shlema. That's one whole mile. Palga, half, refers to when the Torah letters go and arouse people to tshuva and create souls of converts. Okay? Why? Let's see. This is going to be crazy stuff. Ki adayin rechokim me'akadusha me'od. Because these souls, whether you have a person who is what's called Poshe Yisrael, who is not leading a pure and holy life, who is doing things they shouldn't be doing. You know, you could think of people you know, you could think of yourself in different situations. We don't have to give examples, but people are not living their lives the right way. Okay? That's called Poshe Yisrael. They're, in a certain sense, they're farther away from kedusha, and they're struggling through challenges, difficult times. Right? So, ki adayin rechokim me'akadusha me'od. They're very far from holiness still. V'yachol liyos lehem miniyos rabbis, and they're going to have a lot of miniyos, a lot of difficulties that are preventing them from coming close to Hashem. They're going through life, and they're trying to come close to Hashem, and they're facing a lot of challenges. Does anyone feel this type of existence? It's hard. I'm trying to come close to Hashem, but it's difficult. And I keep hitting walls. I keep hitting things. Things keep happening to me. Right? Why? V'tzarich lehem yegiyos rabbos. They need tremendous energy. They have to work really, really hard. Kedei lahafshit mehem habigadim hatzoyim shehilbishu. In order to throw off from themselves the soiled garments which have been put on them, or which they have on. Kamosha Kosov, like the pasuk says in Zechariah, Hasiru habagadim atoyim, remove from yourself these soiled garments. What does that mean? Let's read a little more. Ki elu habagadim atoyim he moini moisa melachzor lakadosh baruch hu. Because these soiled garments that the person is wearing are preventing that person from coming closer to Hashem, from reaching holiness, from reaching kedusha. V'hem mafsikim kamoy nahar hamafsik, and they're blocking this person like a river that blocks a person from passage. Right? In the old days, when there weren't so many bridges, and when there weren't, planes, and boats were not so readily available, if you were a traveler and you came to a big river, you just couldn't cross it. Right? It's a blockage. So like a river, like a powerful, strong, big river, this is blocking this person from coming closer to Hashem. It's not possible to cross such a river. They have to throw off these soiled garments. So what are we talking about over here? So I just want to preface this by saying it's possible that a person could hear what I'm about to say and feel a little bad, maybe feel a little bit hurt by it. But everyone should know that it's really the opposite. We shouldn't feel such a thing, and we just have to understand that everyone has a different pathway and a different purpose in their life. So let's understand this. What are we talking about? These soiled garments that we're wearing. So, someone who is far away from Hashem, for whatever reason, it's ki'ilu, we all have at our root, at our source, at our very most intimate part of ourselves, we have what's called a chelek elikah mimal. We have a piece of Hashem that is the root of our soul. That's who we really are. That's our light, right? That's who we really are. And whenever we do good things, that's that light coming out of us. That's the real us coming through. But if we're far away from Hashem, then that light, that source of us, our real root soul, is covered with layers like clothing. Dirty layers, like soiled clothing. So, you can have a person, let's say you had a person who grew up as a beautiful, pure soul into a holy family, and everything was going good. But things happened, and this person's path was to go, like they say, go off the derech. And this person started finding themselves going into places they shouldn't go, meeting people maybe they shouldn't meet, and the next thing they know, they find themselves doing things that they never dreamed they would do. And they go off and off and off until you can't even recognize this person from the house that they grew up in, right? In this case, it's as if we could say that this person has themselves put on layer upon layer of soiled garments, and they're so habituated to the lifestyle that they're leading now that they can't even see through those garments. They're so far away from the life, from a life of purity, that it's next to impossible to break out. Very, very hard to break out of those garments. That's the first type of case. Or you can have a person who didn't grow up religious at all. Maybe they grew up in a lovely family, very nice people, a Jewish person, right? Nice parents, nice family, and they go to regular school and everything. But, they don't eat kosher, and they watch certain things on the internet, and they've been involved in a lot of physical relationships with different people, and they've done, maybe they spoke a lot of lashon hara, because they just didn't grow up with complete purity. Right? So that person also, really, from the time they were born, there were layers covering over their pure, holy light. And as they grow up, the layers become more and more. Right? And every time you go, I'm going to use an example here that is very close to my heart, and that is to do with lashon hara. So, many times when we hear about lashon hara, you think, the rabbis are always talking about lashon hara, right? Okay, don't gossip. It's not really, that bad. I remember that, when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, before I became religious. So I had a big group of friends. We're all Jewish, and we used to. I didn't think about it at the time, but we used to literally almost do nothing other than sit around and make fun of other people and talk badly about other people. Right? In order, of course, to make ourselves feel superior and fill whatever voids we need to fill that we didn't even realize we had. But whatever. Okay, so I become a crazy religious person, and I go to Israel and spend a year in yeshiva, and my first year in yeshiva. And over there, in a Baal Tshuva yeshiva, people are militant about not speaking lashon hara. It's like a thing, right? And so, for that whole year, I was out of that realm, and I was like just never thinking about this way of thinking, only learning and being very careful to always only say positive things. So after that year, I went back home to the holy city of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and and I thought I would meet some of my old friends, and we went, for coffee, whatever, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe it. This is what I used to be. This is all I used to do, is talk about people in a negative way and put people down and make fun of people. like for hours on end. And bad language and all this stuff. And so it's not just, those rabbis that stand up and talk about gossip, but it's a cry for help in people. It's a lack of realizing that we have holes in our soul that we're filling with all this garbage. We're raising ourselves up. We're lifting up our own honor. We're making ourselves big compared to all those other people, right? This is exactly what Rabbi Nachman is talking about. We're building ourselves up by talking bad about other people. And not only that, we're just bringing negativity into the world all the time, where I could be using my voice for holiness, for tefillah, for davening, for learning Torah. I could use my voice to talk to someone and build them up, give them inspiration and hope and love and support. This is what I could be doing with my words, right? But instead, those words are daggers. Those words are negativity. Those words are just building up my own ego, right? It's not just a cute thing, don't gossip. It's literally the difference between bringing light, positivity, and spirituality into the world, or bringing destruction and darkness into the world. And in our own lives, it's bringing beauty, it's bringing inspiration, it's really getting myself under control and understanding who I am, or putting everyone else down and raising my own ego up. Right? It's a very big thing. So all that stuff are layers of begadim tzoyim, of soiled garments that are covering me up. So with that understanding, that's just one example, by the way, that exists in all other aspects of physical desires and all of the issues that people face nowadays with personal and physical relationships with others, and negativity that we see on the internet and on all these places. There's so many things that can bring us down and cover us up, right? Yeah, Yona, you want to say something, Rabbi Yona?
I thought that the soul garments are the mitzvahs and the Torah's essence, and every time we do a mitzvah, we put on another layer of, holy armor, not the opposite.
Yeah. So that's in the opposite direction. You're absolutely right, that the mitzvahs are called levushim, and that's why specifically we're talking about begadim hatzoyim, soiled garments, right? We're going to actually come to holy begadim and mitzvahs afterwards. So let's hold on. But this is klippas. This is what we're called. These are klippas, these levushim. Klippas are the negative levushim, the negative clothing that's covering us up. And so, where are we left now? Where are we left as Balei Tshuva or Gerim? If we weren't born a tzaddik and stayed a tzaddik, where are we left? As we come closer to Hashem, we have to struggle. And we're going to face challenges. Why? Because we still have these garments on. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to work, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to take one of these garments off. And as I remove one of those garments, one of those soiled garments, one of those klippas, I'm going to be closer to my bright, shining, pure, beautiful soul. But I'm going to encounter a new garment, a new soiled garment. And I'm going to have to work then and take that one off and get still closer to my beautiful, bright, shining, pure soul. But I'm going to face minias, and it's not going to be easy. So, here we are. Many of us, a lot of us have personal conversations together, and we're working through things, and we make progress. And then something else comes up. And then we work through that, and we make progress, and every step we're growing, we're working, right? Something else comes up. So we have another garment to take off. But as Rabbi Nachman says in another beautiful Torah, that really, when we face a challenge, it doesn't mean, this is such an important idea, I hope everyone hears this very clearly. When we face a new challenge, a new klippa, it doesn't mean that we're doing poorly and we've fallen down and Hashem's giving us a punishment, right? What happens? every time we go up to a new level, we reach a new level of growth, and we pass by something that we conquered, we're now on a new Kabbalistic level. And when we get to that new Kabbalistic level, there's new klippas in that place that want to stop us from moving forward in spirituality. So they stand up to us in the new level that we reached. Do you hear this? That means that when I'm facing new challenges, it's not because I'm falling backwards. It's not because I'm doing bad or Hashem's punishing me. It's because I just reached a new level. I actually made tremendous progress. I'm getting higher. So because I'm getting higher, I have a new thing to face. So you can practice this, by the way, and you can look for this, and you'll see it. If you're working hard on a certain character trait, on a certain interaction, a certain aspect of your personal growth, and you're like, wow, I'm doing pretty good, right? You can be like, oh, wait a second. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. I'll bet you something's going to happen. Right? And you can be ready for it, and you can see it coming, and it'll be a much more beautiful existence. Right? So this is what we all have to face. This is what he's talking about over here. This is what he's talking about over here. So let's go weiter. V'rama kufta v'sachar le'yardana. So that means that he went to the bathroom. He cast off. Let's read the English over here in this version. It's great English. He cast a ball of dung, which obstructed the Jordan River. Right? So what are we talking about over here? Ayadei, we're talking about excrement here. We're talking about something soiled. Ayadei shemafshitin umashlichin me'alehen habagadim atzoyim. Through this, that the person takes off and throws off from themselves the soiled garments. Nisbatlin kol hamaniyos v'amasachim. He causes to fall away all of the things that were stopping him, the obstacles and the blockages that are separating between him and between the holiness. Right? So when the story said he cast off the excrement and obstructed the river, he's going to say now, v'sachar lana liyardana, and obstructed the river. What does that mean? What does that mean, that he obstructed the river? Ki hayardana mafsik ben kedushas Yisrael lechutz laaretz. What did we say the river represents? The river represents a blockage that you can't cross, something that's difficult to cross. And the Yardana, the Yarden River, the Jordan River, is the very thing that separates between the holiness of Eretz Yisrael and Chutz Laaretz. So the Jordan River is this exact example of a blockage, something that's difficult to cross over, something that's thrown up to stop you from going from a place of it's far away to a place of holiness. That's the Jordan River. That's what this part of the story means. Ubishvil zeh nikroim b'shem palga, and that's why this in the story is referred to palga. Remember, parsa shlema, the whole mile was referring to the straight drawing down of a pure soul, and palga is referring to this soul that has the soiled garments over it. Because it's going to face palga, it's going to face a blockage, it's going to face things that it has to overcome to remove these garments. Because he still has to throw off from herself the soiled garments. In order to remove the blockages and the obstacles and I'm running out of words for blockages and obstacles. And the screens that are separating this person from holiness. Aval elu haneshamas shetalmidei chachamim mamshichin leveneihem. But these neshamas, these souls that the holy person, the Talmidei Chachamim, draw down into their children, following the path that we explained before, this is called Parsa Shlema, a whole complete mile a straight path. Ki ein lehem masachim hamavdilim, because they don't have blockages that are stopping them. Everybody with me? So I believe this to be a very beautiful idea that is very, very important. I do not think that this concept of the Parsa Shlema, of the pure soul that came down and just travels freely as a tzaddik for their whole life, applies to many people. Right? I think, I don't want to say all, but most people I know face struggles and challenges, miniyas, right? Mafsikin, that are putting up walls as we try to grow, right? So for us, okay, we have to realize that every time we face something, this is the most important work that we do in our lives, and this is the point where we're becoming successful, and we're becoming closer to Hashem. So we found we got introduced to a new soiled garment, a new blockage. And all we got to do is break through that, take it off. We have a new job, and we're going to get through that, and then we're going to move closer to Hashem still, closer to holiness and closer to purity. Okay, let's go farther. What time is it? Okay, let's go farther. V'zeh v'chibadatai kabdehu b'chesus naki. Okay, so there's a pasuk in Yeshaya that tells us about our behavior on Shabbos that's not related to the specific prohibitions of Shabbos. And one of the things it says there is v'chibadatai, that you have to honor it. You have to honor Shabbos. So the Gemara says, how do you honor Shabbos? Kabdehu b'chesus naki. We have to wear on Shabbos, put on clean clothing, special clothing for Shabbos. One of the ways that we distinguish Shabbos from the rest of the week is by wearing special, nice, clean clothes on Shabbos. So you got to honor it with clean clothing. Kamesha Darshan Rabbi like Chazal Darshan over there. Yeah, good. Okay, Ksuz Naki. What is a clean garment referring to? Hainu. How do we honor Hashem? Chabdehu. We honor Him. We honor Hashem. Hainu lahashlich habegadim etzoyim. Get rid of the soiled clothing. In other words, this Gemara is telling us one chiddush. The simple understanding of it is, the simple level understanding is, honor Shabbos by wearing a clean clothing. The next level understanding of it is, how do we honor Hashem? We work to remove the soiled garments from ourselves, to get closer to Hashem. That's how we get closer to Hashem. That's how we honor Hashem. We start taking off those soiled garments. Why? Because that's the main way to honor Hashem. As we said, this is really one of the most important focal points of this whole Torah. What's the biggest honor from Hashem was when Yitro, when he went from being the priest of Avodah Zarah to becoming Moshe Rabbeinu's father-in-law and to having a parsha named after him in the Torah. That, the Zohar says, was the greatest sanctification of the name of Hashem. The greatest honor to Hashem is when people come from far away and come close to Hashem. Right? So when we are in a place of distance from Hashem, and there's dirty, soiled clothing blocking us from Hashem, and we remove that dirty clothing, that is the biggest honor to Hashem. We're going from being far away to becoming close. We're throwing off the dirty garment and putting on ksus naki, a clean garment. This is the biggest honor to Hashem. Im toitzi yakar mizaylo, taking out that which is precious from that which is zaylo, is disgusting. What's a good word for that? Vile. Lahachzir b'nei adam b'tshuva, to help people to do tshuva. Ulahamshich nishmais geirim, and to bring souls of the converts into the world. The biggest honor to Hashem. And all that is connected to removing the dirty garments. Or, like we say over here, that's the honor of Hashem, is to put on clean, pure garments. V'geirim shemizgayerim. And weiter to this. So there's a real... Okay, I want to insert something here. There's a little bit of a tangerine over here. But we're really focusing on, and we're bringing in this concept of clothing over here. Right? And we're relating a lot of this to clothing. I just want to say, on a simple level, somewhat simple level. The things that we do in this world, in a physical sense, have an impact in the spiritual realms, right? So we have a mitzvah to wear special clothing on Shabbos, right? And when we do that, when we wear special clothing on Shabbos, right, it's not just that we're doing something to make it nice. It's that we're honoring Shabbos in such a way that we're causing a change in the spiritual realms. We're building a vessel that light can come into the world by doing this. And you see, there's many things to do with clothing in Judaism that we see is very, very important. There's a beautiful piece from, once again, I'm making a tangent here, but that the holy Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan Zatzal wrote about tzitzis, the mitzvah of tzitzis. And one of the things he said is that people don't really think about this. Why did Hashem make it that the mitzvah of tzitzis has to go on clothing? Why can't it just be, tie it around, basically, in the simple understanding, the mitzvah of tzitzis is to remind you to do mitzvahs. So why don't you do the famous thing of tying a string around your finger? Right? Why don't you wear a bracelet to remind you to do the mitzvahs? No, you have to take techelis, right, the blue string, and you have to, which represents spirituality, ruchnias, represents the kisei hakavod, all these things, and you have to attach it to your garment. There's many beautiful ideas, he says. One of them is that garments are the thing that separate us from animals. That's what shows that we have a neshama, and we're a level above animal existence. That we should break away from our animal self and move towards our spiritual self. What I'm trying to say over here, clothing is very, very important in Judaism. So when we dress nicely on Shabbos, and we have special clothes for Shabbos, we honor Shabbos in this way, where it's not just a nice thing to do, to look good. It's changing a spiritual reality. It's making a different atmosphere and a different spiritual reality for us. So we see that there's ramifications and there's use of the wording to deal with clothing, talking about our souls and talking about the way we relate to Hashem and talking about our distance from Hashem, because it's a very important idea. So the next thing he says over here is like this: V'geirim shemisgayerim heim boim tachas kanfei hashechina. Tachas kanfei hashechina. So when someone converts, it's called that they have come tachas kanfei hashechina. They've come under the wings of the divine presence, under the wings of Hashem. That's what they write on the certificates for a convert. That's what the holy books talk about, coming tachas kanfei hashechina, under the wings of the Shechina. Ubishvil zeh nikra ger tzedek, and that's why someone who converts is called a ger tzedek. They don't have to be righteous as we might think, right? A ger toshav is someone who becomes a certain type of convert just to live amongst the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael. But a ger tzedek is someone who goes all in and totally becomes Jewish, right? A ger tzedek, that's what they're called. By the way, some people have the name Getz as their last name. That's an acronym for ger tzedek. It's probably somewhere down the line they had a relative who was a convert. Just like the name Katz is an acronym for kohen tzedek, right? They probably had either they are or they had an ancestor that was a kohen. So this is what the Zohar says. Why does ger tzedek have to do with coming tachas kanfei hashechina, under the wings of the divine presence? Kesus Naki, says the Zohar in Parshas Yisroi, specifically referring to Yisroi, Kesus Naki, a clean garment, da kanfei mitzvah. This is called the corners of a mitzvah. Kesus Naki means wearing a garment with tzitzis, putting the mitzvah of tzitzis onto your garment. But Kesus Naki means kanfei mitzvah. Hainu, Shechina, hanikres mitzvah. The Shechina is also called mitzvah. So in the one sense, the kanfei, the corners of the garment, which are referred to the corners of mitzvah, right? So that's how we honor Shabbos. And Shabbos also is connected to the Shekhinah. That's when we have the revelation of the divine presence to such a high level. And the Shekhinah itself is called by the name mitzvah. So you have that the Shekhinah is called mitzvah, and then you have that the Tehillim says, Kol mitzvaysecha tzedek. Kol mitzvaysecha tzedek. That's connecting the word mitzvah to tzedek. Shekhinah is mitzvah, is tzedek. So when we say someone is a ger tzedek, why are they called a ger tzedek? Because they're connected to the Shekhinah, which is mitzvah tzedek. They came tachas kanfei Shekhinah, under the wings of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence. V'zehu v'chibadetoi ikar kavoda sheyachris gerim tachas kanfei Shekhinah. So when we say kibadetoi b'ksus naki, that you honor Hashem, you honor the Shabbos and you honor Hashem with a ksus naki, a clean garment, says the Zohar, what does clean garment mean? How do you honor Hashem? With gerim, bringing people from far away close to Him. Kisus naki means mitzvah, means shechina, means tzedek, means ger tzedek. Coming tachas kanfei shechina. So, v'chibadetoi b'kisus naki doesn't mean only like the simple understanding of wear clean clothing on Shabbos. The next level above understanding that term means that the honor of Hashem is when someone who comes from far away comes close to Hashem, is bringing someone tachas kanfei hashchina. That's what it means to honor Hashem. I hope everyone followed that. I know it's complicated, but that is a very, very beautiful drasha, if you follow it. V'zehu b'chibadetoi, shezeh ikar kavoda. That's the main kavod of Hashem. Sheyachnis gerim tachas kanfei hashchina. When we bring converts under the wings of the Shekhinah. Where are we holding here? 51. Okay, a tiny bit more. We'll do this one small paragraph, and then we'll open up for questions. V'chol echad lefi bechinasai, and every person, according to the level that they're on, according to their own existence and their own aspects, yachol leida ha'alas ha'chavay l'shorish ha'yira, is able to know sort of to what extent they are involved in raising up the honor of Hashem. You ready? How can you tell? How can you know if I am a person who is raising up the honor of Hashem? Lafi hakavod shemechabed es yirei Hashem. It's according to the honor that they give to those who are yirei Hashem. Those who are yirei Hashem means those people who are really connected to Hashem, who have yiras Hashem, who have awe for Hashem, who fear Hashem. If you're a person who honors those people, it means that you are a person who's raising up the honor of Hashem. Kain Allah hakavod l'sharashay. So too, you're raising up the honor of Hashem to its sharish. Kisham sharish hakavod, because that's the place, that's the root of the kavod. V'chinas, like the pasuk says over there, ve'es yirei Hashem yechabed. You should honor those who fear Hashem. People who are yirei Hashem, you should honor them. He chol zman sha'kavod hu begalus. As long as the kavod, the honor of Hashem, is in galus, is in exile, kol echad lef bichanasei hu mezalzei b'yirei Hashem. When the more that the honor of Hashem is lost and is in exile, the more you will see people denigrating yirei Hashem and looking down upon them and saying bad things about them. Each person, according to their own personal situation, will be disgracing yirei Hashem. And each person, according to the level that they are making a correction in their own kavod and in raising up the kavod of Hashem, the extent to which we are knocking down our own ego and our own arrogance and our own kavod and raising up the kavod Hashem, we will see that we are the people, we are able to give honor to Yirei Hashem. Chein hu mechaved Yirei Hashem. One more tiny paragraph. Ve'ikar hadavar. The main idea is sheyechabed Yirei Hashem b'leiv shalom, that we should be mechabed, we should honor those who fear Hashem with a full heart. Like Chazal say, we'll end on this point because it's an awesome point. Davar hamasr l'leiv, the Gemara says, Davar hamasr l'leiv, something that is given over to the heart, something that is given over to the heart. Ne'emar boy v'yaresem elokecha. We say about it that is fear Hashem. That is how you see the fear of Hashem. V'sham ikar hakavod, k'mo shekasov. That's where the main honor of Hashem is. K'mo shekasov b'svasav kibduni v'libo richak mimeno. They honor me with their lips, with what they're saying on the outside, but really in their heart, they're far away from me. What are we saying here? This is what we'll end with. Yeah. Is that the way that we honor Hashem, we can test ourselves, and we can know for ourselves by, if we do it, if we honor those who fear Hashem with a full heart. Meaning like this. You can walk the walk, and you can give kavod to holy people. You can even, for example, if a holy person comes into the room, right? You see when there's a special tzaddik around and there's an event and they come into the room, everybody stands up, right? So you can stand up and you can show honor to that person. But is it real? Meaning what? There are some people who are going to see the tzaddik because they're like, who does this guy think he is? I want to go check this person out for myself. And they even stand up when everyone else stands up. But really, in their mind, only they know. Davar ha-masr lalev, something that is only in that person's heart, that you only know. It's just between you and Hashem. That's the real test. Am I really giving honor to Yirei Hashem? Am I really giving honor to Hashem? Am I really lowering down my own ego? Or am I that guy who's standing in the room being like, Rabbi so-and-so, hey, okay, let me see what he's got. Who does he think he is? Right? What do you really feel? That's in the private recesses of your own heart. That's where you can really test your own ego, your own sense of self-aggrandizement. Am I a person of shiflus, of humility, or not? Am I really honoring this person, or not? So, to wrap up things a little bit over here, because we'll have to we'll continue next week, and we'll get to the final story of Rabbi Bar Chana in this one. We have a path to follow, and we're all working hard in growth. And because we're not perfect, either we weren't born perfect, or we face challenges that cause us to do things that mess us up a little bit. Let's just say it that way, right? We all have a path and a struggle, and we're all working to become better people and to become closer to Hashem. Those are the begadim tzoyim, the soiled garments that we have on ourselves. And every time I face those challenges, I have to smile. I have to say, "Wow, Baruch Hashem, I'm getting closer to Hashem." Okay, here's my next challenge, my next opportunity to come close to Hashem. Okay, here I go. I'm starting again, right? And every time I do that, it just means I'm getting closer. It means I'm growing and I'm becoming closer to Hashem. There are certain people who are here on this Zoom right now who have made tremendous progress and who are changing day by day, week by week, whatever it is, and who have gone through hellish situations, difficult things. And when I look at the people who are here right now listening to this, and some of the people who are going to listen to it afterwards, and I say, wow, what challenges have we faced? How did we get through these difficult times? But we did it. And I look at certain people, and they're mamish like a new creation. They've grown so much in so many different ways. And step by step, sometimes they don't see it themselves because it's a struggle and it's hard and it's painful. But I'm looking at them, and you know who you are if you're hearing this. There's a number of you here where I'm like, you're doing amazing. Look at you. Look what you're doing. It's fantastic. Because you've come so long and you've taken off so many soiled garments. You're doing so great. And we're almost there, right? We're getting closer and closer. And he said, when those garments are all gone, there's going to be nothing blocking between us and the kedusha of Hashem and the place that we should be. So, Baruch Hashem, you could learn this, like I said, and you could feel bad. Or you could feel like why did I have to be born like this? Right? On the other hand, you can say, wow, what a gift from Hashem. He's showing me every step of the way that I'm on the right track. He's showing me every step of the way that I'm doing the right thing to get closer to Him, to take off those garments. So we should all merit to, every time we face challenges, and sometimes they seem insurmountable, and sometimes we don't feel like we're making growth. We have to look back at ourselves. We have to take the advice of Rabbi Nachman from the Torah of Azamra. We have to look at our good points, really concentrate on the things that I'm doing, and realize where we've come, how far we've come, and the good things that we're doing. Look down to find that beautiful light that is our soul, and how we're moving towards it, and moving towards revealing that beautiful light. And when we do that, and when we keep trying, and we thank Hashem for all the messages and all the help, then we're going to have a different life. It's going to be this life of emunah, where we have, what do I always say? Calm confidence. As soon as my next challenge comes, I'm going to be calm, because, okay, this is what Hashem gave me. I just got to do my part. Bezos Hashem. Thank you all, by the way, for coming and for growing and for showing me all this beautiful growth that we see week by week, the people that I talk to. And I'll open it up now for questions if anybody has. Yeah, shalom. Shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you. Shkoyach.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what you said with regard to taking off the garments or putting off the garments, and I think it's a nice analogy. And in the secular world, a lot of people talk about getting through challenges and problems by going through them, and you also use the word through. And in some way or shape or form, we have to go over the Jordan River. We have to get over it, or we have to get through it. We have to swim through it. We have to float over it. In some way, shape, or form, we have to go over it to get to Eretz Yisrael. And I'm wondering also, if there's some other idea or Torah that kind of relates to not just taking off of these garments, but also going through a problem directly, number one. And number two, is there some possibility that this idea that our fathers and mothers have this obligation to teach us how to swim could be related to this? In other words, maybe our fathers and our mothers not only have to teach us how to swim, but they have to teach us how to get through problems in order to bring us to another mile. I don't know. What do you think?
First of all, I think that is a fantastic chiddush. Beautiful chiddush. Love it. I'm sure there's something there. I have to think about it more. But yeah, so Shalom's saying that the Gemara tells us, it doesn't tell us many things that are obligated to teach our children that's not Torah and mitzvahs. But one of them is you have to teach your children how to swim. That's what the Gemara says. Presumably on a simple level, it means that you have to teach them to be able to take care of themselves. The two things it says, you have to teach them to swim and you have to teach them a trade so that they can provide for themselves. But teaching them to swim, says Shalom, using that big Jewish brain of yours there, right? That big Jewish neshama of yours. This beautiful idea. Yeah, teach your kids to swim. Teach them that they're going to come up against the river, against the Yarden, and they're going to have to cross it. And it's going to be difficult, but it's okay. Because when you cross that river, you get to the what's it called? You get to the Holy Land. Beautiful. Love it. Love it.
And even further, we know that getting through these problems, and going through a water has its own purification, its own tahara. As long as we get through it, water has both death and life in it, right? But if we get through it, it's a tahara, right? So then
beautiful.
We get to another level of tahara once we get to Eretz Yisrael,
Listen to Shalom tonight. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Very good. With regards to going through, also, the one Torah that I referenced earlier, I think speaks to this a lot. And that is that we're always going from, it's interesting in Kabbalah, we're going from level to level, right? We're always raising up. And we know the whole count of the spheres, right? There's 10 spheres, and there's 10 spheres in the 10 spheres, and there's 5 partzufim, and all these olamas, and we're always trying to move higher, closer to Hashem, if we could say such a thing, even though it's not talking about physical distance, right? So we're moving on those levels. This is really cool. So we kind of have to go, when we go through one level, when we make it through a level, and we get to that next level, then we're going to face a new set of klippas that are trying to stop us, the klippas of that level. And when we break through those klippas and we go to the next level, right, we're going to face the klippas of that level that want to stop us from going higher, the negative forces that want to stop us from going higher, right? So we're always going through. However, there's this amazing Kabbalistic concept. I have a good diagram for it somewhere, but I don't have it in front of me right now. That really, the Kabbalistic universes that we normally think of as stacked one on top of the other are really actually layers around each other. Meaning what? If you'll let me, if anybody can't stay on, don't worry here, but this is an amazing Kabbalistic idea. So when the Kabbalistic account of creation, right, is that Hashem made this vacated space of complete darkness where He removed all His light. This is all not physical, deep stuff. Don't think of it in a physical way or you'll go crazy. Okay, He vacated His light from this sphere of nothingness. And then He began to put in the light in measured forms, in a measured amount, through what's called the kav hayashar, meaning a straight pipe. Okay? So the first level comes in. And that's, let's just say for now, that's the world of what's called Adam Kadmon, Ak. And it goes through and goes down to the middle of that sphere. Right? Then the next level comes in, which is Atzilus. And it comes as like another cylinder around that cylinder. And it stops and leaves the top 3 spheres of the first world revealed. So you have like a skinny cylinder, and then around that, a little bit below the top of it, you have a new cylinder starting. And then so too, the next world is going to make another cylinder around that, that's going to leave a little bit of the second one revealed. So you have kind of like descending cylinders going around each other, you understand? But at the bottom, the malchus is the malchus of all, like the layers of an onion, yeah, shkoich. The bottom level of malchus, they're all in the same place. All the malchus levels of all of those things are in the same place. It's just the tops that are at different levels, right? That's really the deeper understanding of the world of the line that we see in Ashrei every day. Malchusecha malchus kol ha'olamim. That your malchus is the malchus of all of the worlds, right? They're all in the same place. They all go to the same level, right? But what does that mean? Why am I saying this? You have, when you get, from that perspective, it's like a different side view, kind of the Kabbalistic levels. From that perspective, going to a higher level means getting closer to the inside. Means going past the outer layer and going inward. Right? Meaning, what? The more you get past those layers, the closer you get to the highest level of existence. And they're both talking about the same thing. In other words, going from one olam to the next olam is a vertical understanding, and at the same exact time, it's taking off the layers and getting deeper inside. And so too with us. Like, what do we always say? Your root soul, the chelik halakami mal, your shining pure neshama, is in you. Our job is to remove the layers that are blocking it and let it shine out. Right? The Kabbalistic view of getting closer to Hashem doesn't mean we have to go to Mars. It doesn't mean we have to go to the end of the universe. It's the opposite. The more inward we go to connect to kedusha, the closer we get to Hashem. It's like kind of quantum. It's a wild concept, right? So really, we can look inward and remove those layers and get closer to Hashem right here. And it also means, by the way, I know this we've said before, it doesn't mean that Hashem is somewhere far away. It doesn't mean that Hashem is out there, right? Right here, every moment of our existence, the deepest possible connection to Hashem can be found right there, which is mind-blowing and inspiring and totally amazing. Any other questions or comments? Holy Chevra? Okay.
Rabbi, I wanted to ask you about,
Yeah.
we had Arsa Shlema versus the Galga. It's like one is a full and one is a half.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, this is like our parents' intent upon our, how do you call it? Our initial birth, before we're born, but our inception or whatever, our conception.
Yeah.
So what if the parents came with an incomplete sincerity, and therefore our conception was flawed from the beginning, and therefore we become the Baal Tshuvas or the converts that have all those obstacles to overcome to reveal the purity of our soul. I know our soul is still pure, but maybe the Kavanah was not, and therefore we arrived in this world in some sort of less than pure fashion, and so it created more work for us to get in touch with that purity of our soul. I don't know if you have something to say about those two.
That's exactly one of the main things we're saying here. You're absolutely right. That's exactly one of the ways that we're talking about over here. Like we said, it could either be that you were born into some kind of beautiful, pure family, and everything was great, and you made a lot of mistakes, and you went off the derech, and you put on a lot of dirty clothing, right? Or it can be that you came into the world in this way, and if you came into the world in this way, that means that your parents didn't draw down a pure soul, right? In fact, another place in the Gemara talks about the importance of having pure intentions during conception of the parents. And it talks about how, it gives a very interesting understanding that the color of the baby was affected by the thoughts that the mother had during conception. Right? Whatever that means. There's a deep understanding to that Gemara. But meaning, the Gemara says very clearly that you have to, and it also says that if a baby is conceived during a state of spiritual impurity, like with regards to nida, that it can have a very negative effect on the baby spiritually. Right? So absolutely, this exists. Now you're going to ask maybe, or you're going to say, hold on a second, how is that fair? How is that fair? Parents make a mistake, so now the child has to suffer? Right? So I would just say that there could be other ways of understanding it, but my way of understanding it is that, okay, Hashem knows how he has a supercomputer web of hashgacha pratis, of divine providence, and he knows how to make it that when those parents are not doing things the right way, and they cause a certain soul to come into the world that's having those clothes on, that soul also needs to be in that situation for its own tikkun. So you guys, everybody who's a parent, who's facing struggles with their children, right? This is actually a very, very important outlook to have if you ever struggle with difficult children. I mean, I'm pretty sure basically everyone says they struggle with difficult children. But when you're going through struggles, is to know that we have to do our part. But that child is an individual, and that child, as they grow up also and become adults, they have their own tikkunim to make. They have their own path that they have to follow. They have to accomplish things also. They have to face what they're facing, right? So we have to always know that it can't. Even if we do everything the right way, that soul may need to go through certain struggles. We have to do our best, and we have to have emunah that when we do our best, we're not responsible for the outcome. Right? We're going to do our part. We're going to try to be holy and try to do things right. And Hashem may have a plan for this child that has to go through some struggles in order to make its own tikkunim, its own corrections. Right? So, meaning, I hope I'm being clear, just to not get too far off on a tangent again, that yes, the way that the parents are has an effect on the soul that comes into the world. But they're not changing existence, and nothing's happening without Hashem. Hashem has a plan for that soul also, and there's a reason why it had to be given to those parents. Everything's on purpose. Everything's happening for a reason. We just have to do our best. Everybody with me on that? Yeah? Okay. We all have our responsibility. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Everybody have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.